It's Friday the 26th of May 2017. Welcome to the 100th edition of Swinemoor News. After many episodes of our news, we've reached the fantastic number of 100 episodes. Beginning with simple camera equipment and lights, we have developed into using much more professional equipment and are lucky enough to have our own studio including a brilliant green screen. We are proud to have met our deadline every week publishing our news before the end of the day without ever having missed a week. Our audience includes a wide variety of ages from pupils to grandparents. It has even been viewed in several other countries around the world, including United States, Russia, Australia and India. Our news has also been viewed by other professional bodies such as Ofsted. Yesterday, to mark this outstanding achievement, we travelled to Hull to meet Peter Levy at the BBC Lucknow studios. Prior to the visit and after much discussion, we put together some interesting questions to find out more about journalism. We were lucky enough to be the first ever children to interview Peter using the professional equipment both in the studio and the gallery. Let's take a look.
Why did you choose to become a reporter?
Well, I started off in radio. I enjoyed radio, and then I started into TV, and it's taken off from there. And I've been doing it for a long time now. But I'm always interested to meet people and talk to people. And you have to be, as a reporter, you have to be nosy and want to find out information about people.
What do you enjoy about your job?
Well, I think it's related, really. It's meeting different people every day because you never know who you're going to meet in the course of a week. I started this week by interviewing the Labour leader, Jeremy Corbyn, and then various people through the week, including yourself. So you never know who you're going to meet or what you're going to do or what you're going to be talking about. So it's the fascination, it's the interest of what you're going to be talking about next or what's going to happen in the news next. Some weeks are very busy, as we know.
What has been your funniest moment?
Oh dear, that's always a difficult one. It's always a difficult one. There's probably been so many over the years, but one of the things is if something funny happens and it's not supposed to be funny, then you have to try and disguise it, so not laugh, and that's quite difficult. Have you ever been in that situation where you want to laugh and you're not supposed to laugh?
Yes.
Yeah, well that's really hard, and it's even harder if you've got a camera pointing at you and people are watching eating their tea when you're talking about something serious, and that sometimes happens as well. But people that you've met over the years, you remember them, famous people or things which are a little bit different. I once interviewed Basil Brush in here. Yeah, did you enjoy that?
Yes,
good.
Definitely.
Yeah, you were very good. Thank you very much indeed.
I've got Peter Levy with me now.
Good afternoon. Funny. What's your first question then?
What was the first topic you ever reported on?
The first thing I ever did was actually a feature on an MP, a Member of Parliament, many, many years ago, and it was the first thing I ever did. And I had to meet him and I had to go to his house. And then he realised I didn't know my way around his area. So he took me out for a drive in his car. And I was terrified. But I got there in the end. You just need to find out about these people. And they're human beings as well. They're just the same. But that was the very first. And he was an MP. And he was MP in Yorkshire. So he was the first person.
What has been your best broadcast?
These are hard questions, aren't they? What has been my best broadcast?
Your favourite one?
Favourite one? There has been a lot over the years. Last year, or the year before, last year I think it was, we went to Rotterdam and we did a programme from Holland talking all about Brexit. And that was fun because I'd was in a different country and I'd never done that before. So that was interesting. Just the mere fact that you've gone somewhere different. It's a bit different from standing outside Scunthorpe Steelworks. So that was one of my favourites. That was very good.
Where has been your favourite place to report from and why?
Well, it's very similar, isn't it? So I need to think. The other thing that we did is we've done 2 or 3 programmes from London when it was the football time. First time Hull City got in the Premier League. The night before we did a programme, and that night we didn't just do half an hour, but we did a whole hour. And we were on instead of the one show, we did an hour, and that was the night before Hull City were playing on the Saturday, and we were on Wembley Way. So that was exciting as well, especially as it was an hour about football, and I know not much about football. So it was a winner show that needed all the help I could get. Your last question?
Who has been the most interesting person you have ever interviewed and why?
Ah, dear. I mean, there's so many interesting people, but I've interviewed most of the prime ministers we've had in my lifetime, so they're quite interesting. You know, Margaret Thatcher, one of the most well-known prime ministers in our time. So, you know, probably those types of people. The Duchess of Kent, related to the Queen, I interviewed her once.
I'm in the studio and I've got Peter Levy with me.
What's your first question?
What tips would you give to young journalists?
To be really, really nosy, to well prepare. There's an old saying, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So be prepared with your questions and your notes like you've done, very professional there. And have all your facts and figures about what you're going to talk about. And then you've got a better chance of succeeding. And just be interested in people and ask questions and just, you know, not take it too seriously either. Not take any of it too seriously, because some of it is just make-believe. But be nosy, be inquisitive and ask lots of questions. Are you going to be a journalist? You're thinking about it?
Thinking about it still.
Question 2.
What has been your most embarrassing moment while broadcasting?
There have been quite a few of them as well. I think once many years ago where my microphone was on when it shouldn't have been on, and the 10 o'clock news was on, and my talking was going out over the 10 o'clock news that people were watching at home. That was a low point. That was a low point. So that was quite embarrassing. But it was just one of those things. Accidents do happen. And your last question is, make it a goodie.
Who has been the person interviewed the most on Look North?
Who have I interviewed the most? That's a really good question. It will be somebody like Diana Johnson, who's one of our MPs. She's been an MP now for quite a few years, and MPs tend to come up quite often because they're accountable for things and answerable. So she may be somebody like the leader of the council, Stephen Parnaby, Stephen Brady, the leader of Hull City Council, somebody like that, but probably John Prescott, somebody else. Probably an MP, Diana Johnson, let's say.
Okay.
Very good, well done.
Thank you.
I'm in the studio with Peter Levy. What makes you nervous about your job?
These are really good questions. You know that, really good questions. I can see why your show's lasted for 100 editions. I can see that. Usually, if you're in an odd setting, I was talking to one of the other pupils about being abroad or being in London, where you're somewhere else, and possibly, you know, there's more that could go wrong. But I've been doing it for a long time, so you don't tend to get nervous. But again, if you prepare well, then you know you're prepared for most things. So not nervous, but your heightened awareness when you're somewhere else. A few weeks ago, we did the show from Boston down in Lincolnshire. You know, so you just have your wits about you when it's something like that, and try and think, because it's something which the guys here don't do every day, and I don't do every day. So there's more things that can go wrong, and they do. Make it easier, won't you?
What was the most mysterious, intriguing story you have reported on?
I think these missing stories are very fascinating. We've had over the years, we've done quite a few of those where there's been missing, or where somebody has been missing. Also, for a lot of years, we did crop circles, where the crop circles appeared in fields. I found that quite fascinating. And then, you know, very serious stories, very sad stories, where there might have been something nasty happen to somebody, and you're trying to find out who the person is, who did it, and why, and everything. And they're very sad, but we have to do those stories because the news can be nasty, as it has been this week. But you have to still do it and just try and explain it the best that you can to people. And you should tell your fellow pupils about Newsround, because Newsround has some very good stories at the moment of how to watch serious, bad, sad stories like we've had this week. And they've got a film online at the moment which you might like to dig out and play to your other pupils about it. It's a very good watch. Go on to Newsround. This is question 3, isn't it?
Yeah.
Last one.
What is your favourite piece of technical equipment and why?
Say it again.
What is your favourite piece of technical equipment
Right,
and
what's
why?
my favourite piece of technical equipment? Well, as my friend Kate has helped us out here, I would say cameras and microphones, because you can have all these fancy graphics and lights and things, but if the sound don't work and the pictures don't work, then we're stuffed. So we need to be able to see properly, and we need to be able to hear properly, because television is only about 2 things: sound and pictures. Everything else is extra. So sound and pictures, microphone and cameras, crucial.
Yeah.
So make sure you look after those when you're back at school. Very good. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
I think you all did very well. Very good. Very good.
After the interviews, we were given a tour of the studios. In the gallery, we were able to try out the different sounds and have a look at the variety of equipment used to produce the news.
When we were shown the newsroom, we noticed how busy and focused the people were on their particular job.
Some were editing, some were creating graphics and sound, and some were researching any breaking news items.
We were also lucky enough to see some of the Radio 1 DJs, including Scott Mills, who gave us a wave as he was presenting his radio show.
He is currently in Hull as part of Radio 1's big weekend event, which takes place at Burton Constable over the coming weekend.
We'd like to thank Look North for taking the time to show us around their newsroom.
A special thank you to Peter, Levy and Kate for giving us an inspirational insight into what they do.
Now for the weather for this week.
Saturday will be warm and humid with the possibility of some showers in the afternoon. Sunday will feel cooler than it has for the last week.
This trend will continue for the rest of the week, with temperatures still remaining slightly above average for the time of year.
Thank you for watching Swinemoor News.